we are back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but not good night. And we're back with another episode of HFLE for all we. And today we have with us, again, we've got Miss
Kim Jones, Combermere School, up and on.
And
Ms. Shernal Clark from the Darrell Jordan Secondary School, and our motto is every talent to greatest use.
fantastic. And here I am, Ms. Donna Cox. I'm from the Graydon Seeley, the counselor at the Graydon Seeley Secondary School. And today, through the initiative of the Barbados Association of Guidance Counselors, we are going to be talking about creativity and how you can, as we like to say, hone your creativity or develop your creativity. Because through your creativity, you're going to be able to learn more, contribute more, see things in a different light, express yourself, among other things. So to start, let us examine what creativity really is. Now, I'm going to start the ball rolling as usual, right?
Right ahead.
And I'm going to tell you that creativity, one of the aspects of creativity is being able to take an idea and bring it all the way through to reality. I'll tell you, for example, the people who conceptualize or thought of flying in the air, all right? Way before we had airplanes, people strapped bird feathers onto their arms because they imagined themselves being able to fly like birds. Then they got different contraptions and threw themselves off of tall places like hills and cliffs to see if they can glide like birds. And all of these things came out of an idea about being able to fly. And out of that, we had people then take those ideas and work on them and work on them and work on them and tweak them until today we actually have airplanes that fly from country to country. We've got space shuttles that leave this earth
Absolutely.
and go to outside of our atmosphere and even land on the moon. All of that was born out of creativity, right? So it's a very, very, very interesting part of you to develop, to discover first, and then to develop. What other definitions of creativity do we have?
One of the ones we have is the ability to see the world in a whole new way. So we had telephones, and we used to have the really, really big ones. Some of you are too young to remember the rotary phones where you had to put your finger in and turn it and wait for that to go back to where it started and move again. And somebody said, probably was thinking, but what if I'm able to travel with my phone? If I'm out and nobody can contact me, how can they get a hold of me? So you had the cellular phones, and again, this is before a lot of you students had your own cell phone, that were huge, that were almost the size of a suitcase. And then the phone started to get smaller and smaller and smaller till someone said, but why shouldn't I be able to take pictures with my phone? So now very few people, unless they're really, seriously into photography, use cameras, because the phones nowadays, you can call, you can take pictures, you can make movies, you can do 150 different things with just a cell phone. Because someone said, what if we look at this in a whole new way? Let's see what it can do, not only for us, but what can it do for the world?
Yeah.
Yes, and I can also say that creativity is also about taking things that might not necessarily on a normal basis seem to go together, and you just put them together to create
Correct.
something different.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, music. Like when you put a beat to particular words, like an old hymn, and you bring it into something new. Some people might say, I never thought about that.
That's true.
I never thought about
Yes.
putting it in this way.
Yes.
And that's what creativity is about. Just
Yes.
finding something new,
New.
from maybe something old. Creativity is just being you and being different.
I like that.
That is wonderful. A whole thing about patterns. And I was struck when you talked about the music because, in lots of churches now, people are bringing instruments into the church that are used outside of the church. And at first, a lot of people were saying, oh, that's not right. That's not really church music. But now the hymns are sounding so
Yes.
sweet when you put a little spooge beat to a hymn, or put a little shangle drumming to a hymn.
Yes.
And for those of you out there that appreciate music, you will be able to appreciate something called fusion.
Absolutely.
And you take different beats of music and you put them together, and it's such a wonderful thing. But all of that is creativity. And you've got that locked up inside of you. You just have to find it.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So the next thing we're going to look at now is what are some of the ways that creativity is expressed. We just saw music.
Yeah.
Okay? But let's just banter about some other ways that creativity is shown and expressed by many of you out there. All right?
Well, I'm thinking about those who are the artistic ones. So you have the music. Some people are creative with their hands and cooking, and not just cooking, but the way they decorate a plate. So it doesn't just taste good, but it looks good. It is beautiful to the eye. Some people are excellent makeup artists. I have some friends who aren't just regular makeup artists, let's say for weddings and so on, but they do stage makeup so they can make you look old, or actually make you look like a Klingon or somebody from Star Trek. You know, that is creative. And for me, I am always in awe of people who can do or are creative in a way that I would never think of being creative. Beyond that, you have people who are very good storytellers. My mom writes poetry, and the concepts that she comes up with from just looking at a blade of grass blows my mind. I have a friend who's a painter, and to watch him look at a guy chopping a coconut and create the most beautiful painting from that, that is creativity in its purest form. All of us are not very 1 and 1 equals 2 and very mathematical in our thinking. Some of us are very artistic. Some of us are very creative. And we need to tap into that part of ourselves that allows us to not only explore the creativity, but that creativity can also be something that leads us to a career.
Yes.
And also allows us to relieve some stress.
Exactly, exactly. When you were talking about the different ways that people were creating things, especially things that we eat, I remember when I was a little girl and you want to get coconut water. You know, you would see somebody and they would just cut the coconut and cut off a little wedge and eat the jelly afterwards.
Yes.
I thought it was very creative. But these days, they're doing so much
Whole different
more.
thing. Yes.
All right. I've watched people who cut all of the shell off of the coconut, scoop the entire jelly ball with the coconut water in it,
Yes.
put it in a container, and you can pierce it with the straw, drink the water,
Nice.
and then eat the jelly, but it is in a container already.
Yes.
All right?
I've seen that,
Who
yeah.
would have thought to do things like that? And they creative people design the tools that they need for the new jobs that they are currently looking at doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating how creativity can change not only our individual lives, but change the world around us
Yes.
And I
by
want
giving
us-
so many opportunities. Yes, Chanel.
Yes, I want us to understand that every individual is creative in some right.
Yes.
Because we look at other people and we say, oh, they're so creative, they can do this and they can do that. But sometimes we don't look at ourselves and see how we can become a problem solver. Sometimes you
Absolutely.
have something there and you need, well, the old people you say if you don't have horse, right, cow?
Correct.
Right. So if you have things at home laying around and you're able to just pick up stuff and make something new, create something new, that's creativity as well. It doesn't
Absolutely.
have to be something big and outlandish that's going to change the world and everything, but it is something knowing that you have done knowing that you have created something different out of what persons might have discarded, you know, something to make you feel that you have made a difference in
Yes.
your own life.
Yes.
It might just be for your own life.
But Cheryl, actually what you're saying is very correct, because whenever we think of creativity, we always a lot of times think of art.
Yes.
But a person who is now able to create a new mathematical equation, that is creativity. Someone who can create a new computer coding system, that is creativity. An architect who's thinking about a more efficient way of building houses that can withstand hurricanes in a better way, that is creativity. So it's not always just about the art. It is about, as Shannon and I've been saying, you find a new way of doing something that someone probably never thought about. Maybe you never thought about it, but it is creative because it is new and it is different.
Yes.
Very much so. And leading into this section now is so important that we've identified all these different ways of creativity, because creativity and activities that foster and promote creativity can do so many things in our lives. So we're going to look at a bit of that right now. One of the things that creativity activities can do, or creative activities, that can relieve stress.
Yes.
It can relieve stress. And Chanel earlier mentioned about solving problems. It can also help us to solve problems.
Yeah.
Okay? So what are some of the other things that a creative activity can do for us in life?
Wow. One thing, help relieve boredom.
Oh,
It is amazing now that the world has changed a little bit, and people have a bit more time on their hands in another way than they had before. People are turning into, didn't know they were great gardeners. Some of them didn't know they were great cooks. Some of them didn't know that they could build their own little things. People are realizing that they have gifts that they never even knew they had. And I'm having people saying, oh, I have so much things to do today, but I'm tired now at the end of the day. But they're tired doing things that they never thought that they were capable of doing. I'm someone who used to kill cactus. I was one of the most horrible gardeners known to mankind. But now I am planting tomatoes. I've got my rosemary patch. I've got my thyme patch. My crotons are growing. I've got my desert roses. And everybody's in shock, including me. But maybe it's because I have more time, but I'm even finding creative ways to design the garden so that different things are more prominent than others. It relieves boredom.
yes. Yes.
And boredom for me is a thief of time.
Yes,
So the
it
thing that
is.
you can find to spend time with is always a good thing, especially when it comes to being creative.
Yeah.
And Kim is right. When you find the time to be creative, you discover skills that you never knew that you had.
Yep.
I mean, something as simple as sitting at the piano and fiddling with it.
Yes.
You learn how to play an actual song in the end. And even with the garden business, I'm horrible too, Kim. Yes, I kill plants. That's what they call me, the plant killer. But I am endeavoring to get creative with it. My friends, my neighbors, they're encouraging me. So that's one part of my creative side that I'm going to tap into
There you go.
in time.
There
You
you
know
go.
something else too about creative activities. They really help you remember things.
True.
I remember growing up, and again with math, okay, learning my timetables, the multiplication and the division. But I did it through a song, okay? 2 ones are 2, 2 into 2,
Yeah.
right? Y'all get it? Remember
Yes.
that?
3,
Yeah.
2.
Do you ever remember getting to, like,
Yes.
say, the 7th or 8th times table, and you remember the tune, but not the words? So you go, T-lai, die, die, T-lai, die, die, until it comes back,
Yes. Yes.
right? Right. So sometimes your ability to put unrelated things together, as Chanel has said before, put that little word in there, that little song
Yeah.
to those words,
Yes.
right? And if you were doing like biology, talking about the skeleton, the left bone connected to the da.
There you go.
You're singing that too, right? I remember that when people are preparing for spelling bees, and I know I saw it in a movie, but I was doing that way before. Sometimes when you skip or when you walk in rhythm and you're spelling,
Yes.
it helps to
It helps some
cement
people,
the
absolutely.
words and the right order of the letters, and it helps you to remember how to spell certain types of words
Very true.
when you associate it with another movement. And sometimes even that in and of itself is not only a stress reliever, but also a great way of developing your creative
Yes.
side, because you realize,
Very true.
I like this movement.
Yes.
And you might want to do it some more, right? So those are different ways that creativity can help. Has anybody here ever taken up a book and read it out loud and then decided to change their voice when reading the book?
Of course.
Right.
course.
And did that help you to remember more about what you were reading?
definitely.
It definitely, yeah. And I think what used to annoy me sometimes is when my book got turned into a TV show or movie, the characters in the TV or movie were never as good as the ones in my head, ever. And they never sounded the way that my brain had the characters sounding. I used to be always very disappointed, actually.
So you've introduced something else here, your imagination.
Yes.
Which is where we started. And imagination tends to be the foundation for creativity.
Yeah.
Right? You got to think it so that you can try to create it. And a lot of that can happen now that you've been given some time. So with all these lovely activities now, you might be sitting there saying, I would like to become a bit more creative. How do I go about doing that? There are so many different ways to develop your creativity and get that spark going. And we're going to look at a couple of those ways right now. All right? The first thing I want you to be able to do is be curious.
Yes.
Not malicious, curious. Right? What if? Why is it? How can? I wonder. Those are some things you can ask yourself to start off. Right? Ask questions about how, why, where, when, and curiously delve into it. Try and find some of those answers. And then you can start your creations and creating from there. Right? Anybody else?
I would say never be afraid to try something new. There's only one way to find out if it's going to work or not. You've got to try it. The greatest chef, when they started, probably burnt something. You know, the greatest gardeners probably destroyed something in the beginning. There's only one way to find out if you are good at something or not. Try it. Never be afraid to try something new. Even if it doesn't work out, you can always say, well, at least I tried. At least I know how not to do it the next time. Do not be afraid to try something new.
And you know what you can do too, to interject? You can do something old, but try it in a new way.
Correct.
Correct. That's it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But
That's a great one.
The thing is also, when you are being creative, I don't want to say don't take yourself too seriously, but that's what creativity really is about.
Yes.
Not getting frustrated, it ain't working, it's not doing what I want it to do. But rather, again, we go back to the word of problem solving. If it is not working this way, try it a different way. But the thing is too, to have fun with what it is that you're doing.
Yes.
Oh, that did not work. Oh, let's see how trying it this other way might work out. And then eventually you'll get to the point where you're satisfied with the final product that you've created. But don't get all bogged down with the fact that it didn't work out the first time or the second time. But being creative has to do with going at it again and seeing how something else might work, so that you can come to a product or something in the end that you are happy with. It's about your love for doing something. And it may not be recognized when you're a child. It may even come when you're an adult. But the thing is to really like what it is that you're doing, as Kim said, and enjoy it. You know, people talk about having hobbies, but I'm very certain that there are persons who have made a living even out of their hobbies. And you know why? Because it's something that they love. It's something that they cherish. It's something that they just feel so relaxed when they are into doing it, you know? So creativity has to do with how you feel on the inside about what it is that you are doing, and that you're getting satisfaction from making something out of nothing, or making something new out of something old.
Yes. And I want to add one last thing about twists, because we have to wrap up pretty soon, and you're going to be all given a chance to just, you know, say your final piece. There is a commercial that I really love these days with a man who is half man, half motorcycle, right? He's called a motor.
A motor, yes.
Yes, the motor. And somebody asked him a question, which was a very interesting twist. He says, do you mind being a motor? You know, wouldn't you want to have legs like you know, like a real man? And he says, yes, I've thought about having legs. Yeah, motorcycle on the top, legs on the bottom. And I thought that was a very interesting twist. And it started me thinking, what would it be if some of us had a chance to just be or do something completely different to what people are expecting of you? All right? Completely different, but in a good way, in a way that contributes to society, in a way that contributes to your world. All right? So that twist is another way of having a way of starting your creativity. You start to think, right? So at this point in time now, we've come to the end. So we know we can't leave unless we give you a challenge. Okay? And what I'm challenging you to do is this. You got 9 words. I want you to create an exciting story out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words.
Wow.
Send us that story to bagc@gmail.com, or you can send it to your guidance counselor through your G Suite classroom. Okay? So I'm gonna throw it out. Chanel, we got about 10 seconds to wrap up and say your last words on creativity.
All right. I love creativity because it makes me feel like I am some person different. I like it to surprise myself, basically. And when I am able to do things that I know I'm not normally known for, I feel very good. I feel very satisfied. And to me, that's what creativity is about.
Yes.
Creativity for me is not being afraid to try something new, even if it doesn't work the first time. Just keep trying. Keep trying. The most creative people didn't get it right the first time. So don't be disappointed if it doesn't work out. Do not be afraid to try something new.
Great. And the last word for me is creativity is me. The same way I will grow wide and my hair will grow longer and my nails will grow, creativity helps me to grow and be a better person than I was the day before. And with this, I just want to say these are lessons that we use in life all the time. And today, this was HFLE for all of we. Thank you so much. Stay safe and see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.